And we are active, ladies and gentlemen. Random stream, impromptu stream. It's a little bit toasty in here, so if you can hear the fan in the back, pardon me. But I ain't gonna keep you waiting. I'm gonna get right into it. But before I do that, I will be remiss. Hey, hey.
私も地元民といっても自分は世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶったまんまこっち見ない方がいいかも。
This promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no ho, no ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy, that dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really indie. My pimp game international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad.
And we are active. Salute to everybody that's in the chat. We just gonna get straight to it. Let me know if y'all have any issues hearing this. We are reacting to a video from the young brother, Ant CEO. He appears to be a FBA, Foundational Black American Negro Freedman brother, standing on lineage business. And this one, he is debating this Arab white supremacist or this MAGA moron maniac. Let's see how this goes.
My own community. I've made multiple videos addressing issues within the Black American community. I've always been real about the things that we need to fix. The difference is I don't build my entire platform on tearing down Black Americans just to get white validation or make money. And that's the difference between me and other Black American conservative channels. I give solutions, not to mention I also cover dating, politics, culture. I speak on everything. My content is authentic and it's not disingenuous. And I won't turn my channel into an anti-Black page channel just to pander for money and views, which is like 99% of every other Black American conservative channel. Yeah, that's not me, because I'm an honest person and I don't have to pander for views because I don't do this for money. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy the video.
Appreciate you taking the time to let me come through here, man. That's very kind of you. The first thing I want to say is I think it's so good that we have people who are actually caring about what's happening on politics. I'm not exactly sure what your opinion is. I think I came here because I seen you from, what was it, the Carter family?
Cartier family, yeah.
Cartier family, my bad. So yeah, I think before we get into anything about, you know, what we might disagree about, is there any way I can put my face on here? I got 50,000 followers on here. I'm trying to see.
I mean, if you want to, go ahead. Turn your camera on.
So he said, is there any way that I could put my face on here? And shout out to all the people in the chat. I usually put my face on, but right now I got to get my setup right. So I'm not going to put my face on, but I'm just going to react. So he said, I have 50,000 followers. Let me put my face on. And we're in an era where people think that because the higher amount of subscribers and followers they have, that means that they automatically have intellectual value. They may have some sort of entertainment value. You know, people like to tap dance, right? You know, that's entertaining for people. People like to shuck and jive and step and fetch it. That's entertaining to some people, not to me. You know, raccooning is a sport for many people, but just because you're able to amass a certain following doesn't mean that what you say is intellectually formidable or that you automatically just have some sort of sophisticated prowess just because, hey, I have 50,000 followers. Are those really 50K followers? Are they bots? So is he saying if he had 5,000 followers, he wouldn't have wanted to show his face? I know I could be looking over into it, but over analyzing it, but it's not just about this. It's about just the culture that we're in now, where most of the game and basically substantive information I get is from people with really low channels. They don't, I mean, really low subscribers accounts. I'll watch a channel that has about 3K subs and get more game than someone that has 300,000 subs because they're just chasing the algorithm. But let me commence.
How do I do that?
I think you got to hit the button at the bottom.
Hold on. There we go. Yes, sir. Can you see me?
No. Now I can see.
There we go. What up?
We want to, but then when it comes to saying fuck or nigga, we lose our mind.
Come on, man.
I'm not saying that's you.
Okay, hold on. Let me rewind it a little bit.
Do that is because people like to try to find anything instead of actually talking about the point. So when you start talking about how the point is,
you're right.
When we start trying to have a debate about, oh, well, I don't really know what he's saying because I don't really have a logical point. I'm not saying that's you, but people tend to focus on how something is said instead of actually what's being said. And it's funny because it's usually from the same people who complain about the world is very hypersensitive on words and we should be able to call black people the N-word whenever we want to. But then when it comes to saying fuck or nigga, we lose our mind.
Come on, man.
I'm not saying that's you. I didn't say that's you. So don't take offense to it.
I have a big following, so I don't want my people coming in here. But do your thing. My bad. It's your platform.
What does that have to do with the conversation?
I had to pause it. You heard what the bro said. What does that have to do with the conversation? And salute to John. And John, if you want to come up, just drop in the chat and let me know, and I'll send you the link. Salute to Rush. Where you been? Where you been? Salute to Rush in the building. But here this dude goes again with his subscriber account. Once we chopping game, imagine I'm over here cooking, giving you some real life game, some substantive advice, or maybe it's vice versa. You giving me some game, and I'm like, yeah, bro, do you mind if we go live and show my face because I got 50K subscribers? Like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but yeah, I got 50K subscribers. The lovely, sincere Saida coming through. You might want to stick around for this one. It's about to get good. I'm just warming up. And of course, Saida, you know, you can always hit the panel whenever. Just let me know. But yeah, so this dude is over here talking about how many subscribers he got. But what is that? That has no bearing on the debate that is about to take place. So imagine you in a battle rap, right? And it's like, I have 40,000 subscribers. Yeah, but like, that ain't gonna save you. Subscriber counts ain't gonna save you when you in a battle of wits, battle for your life, battle for creativity. This is an intellectual battle. So your subscribers can't save you. He's not battle. He's debating you, not 50,000 subscribers. So this dude is already off on the wrong foot. Let's commence.
Because I just don't want my people hearing that kind of stuff because then they're going to try to bring it to me.
Well, that's on them. If they can't deal with cuss words, we're in 2025.
No, not them. I'm talking about TikTok. I don't want TikTok to get
you can say you can say fucking nigga on TikTok. You're allowed to say that. I say it all the time. I cuss all the time on TikTok. But that's not the point. I cuss all the time on TikTok. It's fine. But the reason, the point that I'm making is we're now arguing something different. Now we're arguing about words and how they're said. Actually,
yeah. Let's get over that. Let's get over that
and let's get into the points that I made. So, did you have any disagreement with the things that I said?
So, I didn't really go through the video. I just caught a few things, and you were so interesting, and you were willing to debate. I said, let me just go over here and I think it's better that we just. So, if we could just start out, I'll tell you right now, I am 53 years old, and I voted for Trump. So I don't even know what your affiliation is. Did you vote? Are you interested in politics or?
Yeah, I didn't vote though, but I wanted Trump to win over Kamala, but no, I didn't vote.
Okay, so what did you have against Kamala?
Immigration, her calling herself black when she's not.
Okay.
A bunch of other policies that I don't with.
Okay, well then we're more alike than I thought it was. So what was the thing that you had a problem with them, or like differentiating the difference between a black person versus an African American? Like what's the difference between that?
Exactly. Always do your research. So he's coming in the debate at a disadvantage, right? And he's saying, oh yeah, I didn't really watch the video, but you know, I have 50K subscribers, so I'm just hopping up here. He's already doing this to performative stuff. The dude is, man, He is glazing Trump. You know, like Krispy Kreme donuts, like at 5 a.m, those freshly glazed donuts. That's how bad this dude is glazing Trump. He got the Trump shirt with his face, his fat little chunky McDonald's eating face plastered all over his shirt. And then he has a Trump hat. And you look at him and you think, is this dude white? To me, he is, but let's figure out what he actually is. But to salute to Sincere, I definitely agree with you. And he says he just apparently want to be seen and heard. People are thirsty. That's why I don't, when dudes be like, man, these females is messy and thirsty. I concur. But a lot of these dudes, a lot of these niggas, a lot of these men, a lot of these males are just as thirsty, if not more. Let's commence.
I'm genuinely confused. I don't know what that is.
So okay, great question. So a Black American is not the same as a African or a Caribbean. We have two distinctly different ethnic groups. We're not.
He getting into delineation.
Why does it matter?
Let me rewind it back a little bit.
Okay, so what did you have against Kamala?
Immigration, her calling herself Black when she's not.
Okay,
a bunch of other policies that I don't with.
Okay, well then we're more alike than I thought it was. So what was the thing that you had a problem with them, or like differentiating the difference between a Black person versus an African American? Like what's the difference between that? Because I'm genuinely confused. I don't know what that is.
So okay, great question. So a Black American is not the same as a African or a Caribbean. We have two distinctly different ethnic groups. We're not the same.
Why? Before you go into that, why does it matter?
Why does it matter to you? It matters to me. That's why.
Okay, well, does it matter to a cop?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. And I just looked at the chat. Sincere, see, that's why I rock with Sincere. She said, not why does it matter? The dude is literally, and this is what is disgusting and what's quite pathetic. And I do blame my lineage, foundational Black American Negro freedmen. We do have some culpability. Now, the reason why is because we allowed many people to tether onto our lineage. Like, we know that we are not African. We're not continental Africans. We have African ancestry and genetics, but we're American as apple pie. There wouldn't be no America without us. And everyone else knows the difference. Everyone else has been telling us the difference. It's just only now that we start saying, you know what? Y'all not like us. Not that we hate you. Y'all not like us. That's really all it is. If you get Ralph Lauren and you get Beverly Hills Polo, they both polo, but Ralph Lauren is like, yeah, y'all polo, but y'all not like us. Many of us are saying, yeah, you might be Black, but you not like us. It don't mean that we're better than you. Maybe in some instances, it could be the other way around. All people are saying is when we're talking about our lineage, that matters because everyone else's lineage matters. If it doesn't matter, call a Mexican El Salvadorian, call a Tongan Samoan. It shouldn't matter, right? They're all Pacific Islanders. Call a Venezuelan Honduran. It shouldn't matter. They're all Latinos, right? Call a Nigerian Senegalese. Shouldn't matter. They're all African, right? So everyone understands delineation, except when it comes to FBA. Then people with these high IQs, these degrees that have went to these prestigious schools, suddenly they don't know what delineation is. Even Jewish people delineate. Ashkenazi Jew, Sephardic Jew, Mizrahi Jew. That's delineation. Yes, we've been late to the delineation party, but how many times have you heard the Dominicans? Many of them. I know Black, Papi. I know Black. I'm not Black. I'm Nigerian. I'm not Black. I'm Haitian. I mean, this has been going on for decades. This is not a revelation that I'm making. Everyone else has been rejecting while admiring us forever. Exactly. That's what you call tethering. You're tethering onto Blackness, wearing it like a coat or a jacket. And you say, oh, today is Thursday. I don't want to be Black today. I want to be racially ambiguous. I want to be mixed. I'm Hispanic. you know, but also my dad's black, and that's why I say nigga, even though I identify as Hispanic, and you know, I'm trying to be white adjacent. I'm trying to be a people of color, and I don't really want to stand on blackness. You notice white people always want to stand on blackness when they saying nigga. They don't want to say, hey, I'm a person of color. I'm black. That's why I support reparations. They don't say that. They don't say, I'm a person of color. I support direct investments into building up the black community, right? They don't say that. But they'll say, I'm a minority. I'm a person of color. That's why I'm saying nigga, because I listen to rap music. Get the flip out of here. Has been rejecting us. I mean, I know what you meant. Also, people don't understand ethnicity versus nationality. Exactly. And that's why people are dropping the African American term, because it's just a blanket term to disempower us, disenfranchise us, and make us comparable to immigrants. That's why they like saying we're a nation of immigrants, and everyone that's not Native American is an immigrant. Well, first of all, according to their own records, Native Americans immigrated. There's that word again, immigrated from somewhere in Asia, right? So after X amount of thousands of years, they say they became indigenous. I don't know when they became indigenous. Was it the first year that they here, or the 100th year, or the 1000th year? Regardless, there were black, African, melanated, Moorish, whatever categorical term you want to use. There were people here before, and there were people on the continent of Africa that was brought over here. So people want you to believe that every single person came over here from Africa, and it just wasn't the case. And just Google the term ethnogenesis. We became our own ethnic group, which was an amalgamation of African enslaved people, indigenous people, because if you were darker skinned indigenous, you got labeled a Negro with the one drop rule, and European ancestry, because there, you know, there was a lot of RAPE and going on. So someone from Senegal who has two, you know, African parents born on the soil, their grandparents, great grandparents was born on the soil. That's different, you know, from our lineage, our admixture, and our legacy. Doesn't mean one is better. I'm just saying that, you know, we got to keep it in historical context. Yes, the $5 Indians, you know what I'm talking about. The Dawes Roll paid $5, and now that $5 has went a long way. But let me go ahead and commence with the video, because you know, I'm a cook tonight.
Who would be quote unquote racial profiling between a Haitian, a Dominican, a Jamaican,
Caribbean. We have two distinctly different ethnic groups. We're not the same.
Why? Before you go into that, why does it matter?
Why does it matter to you? It matters to me. That's why.
Okay, well, does it matter to a cop who would be quote unquote racial profiling between a Haitian, a Dominican, a Jamaican, and an African?
Why is your construct of black identity under what a white cop would say?
Oh, can you just answer my question, what I said first, and then I'll respond to yours?
Yeah, but that question is a misnomer, because your question is about me and my identification. So what you're asking me is,
that question is pathetic, disrespectful, and moronic. If you wanted to ask something more poignant, I'm sure you can come up with something more than that. Maybe it's just red meat for his 50,000 followers that he keeps talking about. But he's saying, why should you delineate? Why should it matter if you want to disaggregate data and delineate and say, hey, this person is Haitian, this person is Nigerian, which they always do, which they've always done. Once again, we're late to that party. He's saying because the cops see you all as one big Negro anyways, our lineage and our ethnic identity is not based on how the cops see us. How many times have you seen an Asian person and you look like, damn, is that person Chinese? And they're like, hell no, I'm Korean. So if you're confused, a cop might pull them over and think that a Korean is Japanese or a Chinese person is Korean. That doesn't change their lineage just because a cop mistakenly identifies them. So this dude is just babbling incoherently. Let's commence.
why does my Black American identification change what a white person says? So the problem is, let me ask you this: where's your family from?
You're which part of my family?
I'm assuming you're Latino, right?
No.
What's your ethnicity?
My father is Pakistani and Greek, and my mother is Hebrew.
Okay. So you even come from you're mixed race. You're different. What do you identify on paper as an American?
American.
There's no such thing called American in the U.S. Census, which you identify as. You have to identify as a race. So I'm assuming you identify as white and Caucasian.
No.
See, and here's the little game that he's basically likes to play. He asked him, what do you identify as on paper? So once you see this dude is an Arab. Yeah, like the same. Hi, welcome to 7-Eleven. Those types of stereotypes, right? That's what his people come from. And I'm not saying it's cool to stereotype them like that, but those are the stereotype terrorists and sand niggas and stuff. That's what the racists and the bigots would call them. But on paper, guess what he identifies as? Many times they'll say Arabs and North Africans are Asian. But on paper, he doesn't check the Asian box. He said that he's mixed race. On the census, you can check the box that says 2 or more races. You can check other, but he won't check the Asian box. He won't check the other box. Guess what box he will check? The white box. And when he asks him, he's like, I'm American. Like, no, bruh, you're white. And then when people will say, no, he's not white. Yeah, he is. He's legally classified as white. So that's what I'm going to call him. That's how he identifies. Let's run it back.
Me and my identification. So what you're asking me is, why does my Black American identification change what a white person says? So the problem is, let me ask you this: where's your family from?
Which part of my family?
I'm assuming you're Latino, right?
No.
What's your ethnicity?
My father is Pakistani and Greek, and my mother is Hebrew.
Okay. So you even come from you're mixed race. You're different. What do you identify on paper as an American?
American.
There's no such thing called American in the U.S. Census, which you identify as. You have to identify as a race. So I'm assuming you identify as white and Caucasian.
Non-white.
Okay, what is non-white? What do you identify as on the U.S. Census?
I don't even know. I've never identified in the U.S. Census.
Yeah, you do. If you have a license, do you have?
See, now these are the high IQ people, right? You know, they like to say that we are the dumb, savage, Negroes, right? So this is a high IQ Caucasian. He's in his 50s. This dude is in his 50s. And he's saying that he never filled out a census and I identify as American. When you check the box, where the hell does it say American? The only American it says is African American, and you sure as hell ain't checking that box. This dude is pathetic. And Sincere says he's basically lumping all highly melanated people together. But this mindset was created when the term white people came into play. Yes, it's the 1 drop rule, where it says if you have 1 drop of Negro blood, then you're black. But think about this. If I give you a big bowl of ice cream and it's vanilla ice cream, right? And I say, you know what? Here's a few extra scoops. And then I take some Hershey's syrup or whatever, Ghirardelli, whichever kind you like. And I put 1 drop of chocolate syrup in this humongous bowl of vanilla ice cream. And you stir it up. And maybe you see a little bit of tint or a brownish hue to it. Is that ice cream suddenly chocolate ice cream? Yeah, I know. That's what they're doing with the 1 drop rule. And many people adhere to it and co-sign to it. Unfortunately, it's part of the colonial and white supremacist brainwashing. But, might makes right, and white supremacy is a religion that the entire globe adheres to. Whether they agree with it is another story, but they do bend the knee and adhere to it. And FBA is the only ones who actively challenge it. That's why they try to bury us with tethers and immigrants and attack us economically, so that voices like mine will never make it mainstream. You just see like the Van Jones always crying. You see the Roland Martin's tap dancing, and the other people that just voluntarily bend over and buck break themselves, because the most important aspect of buck breaking is the psychological part of it. Once you buck break someone psychologically, then they'll be grabbing the lube for you and saying, please, please bend me over. It's quite pathetic to witness. But we got Braxton in the building. And she says he marks white. Of course he marks white. Instead, he said he marks American. Right. He said, well, he did it to himself. Just another tether grifting. Nothing new. And yeah, whites, y'all got to start calling out y'all tethers, because it will be Caucasian people from a different background that might be Middle Eastern or come from some slums like Serbia or something. And shout out to all my Serbian people, but there are a lot of European slums, and then they come and say, hey, I'm white, and they try to tether on to the American history. It's like, no, that's not part of your history. You had to immigrate here. You fled famine, failure, folly, and most likely feudalism. That's why you came here. If you had it popping there, you wouldn't have come here. So it's like, at least give some thanks for the people who fought for this nation to be a nation. People would be so happy to fly the flags of their home country, but they don't want to go back. Come on now. Imagine you saying, oh, I got the best house on the block. All right, cool. I'm going to get in the car and drop you off at your house. No, don't take me back. I thought you said this was the best house on the block. That's what these people are doing. They fly flags from countries that they've never been or have no intention of going, i.e. Kodak Black. Kodak Black loves to talk about how Haitian he is, but he hates Haiti. He hates dark-skinned black women, and he doesn't even want to go to Haiti. So why are you flying the Haitian flag again? I get it. It's your lineage. That's your ethnicity. But come on, bruh. Like, have some respect. Have some sort of fortitude. You got the money, go back and fight for Haiti. If you don't even want to fight for your homeland, how could you expect foundational Black Americans to put on a cape for you? Come on now. Braxton. So he knows if anyone told him he was white or close to white, they were just playing with you, sir. Well, legally, he is white. He's classified as white. We can get into the semantics and say biologically and scientifically and historically, none of that matters when you check that box, i.e. Fat Joe. Fat Joe is Latino, and he grew up in the Bronx around Black people. And that's why he says nigga so much, because he grew up around Black people. I grew up around a lot of Latinos. I don't say essay. I don't say mayate, wetback, beaner, none of that stuff. You know what I mean? But he grew up around Black people, and Fat Joe has to say nigga. Like, it's just the Majora spirit forcing him to say nigga. And then when Fat Joe gets locked up, guess what it says his race is? Because Hispanic is not a race. Latino is not a race. Mexican is not a race. Puerto Rican is not a race. So when Fat Joe gets locked up, guess what his race is? When 6ix9ine gets locked up, guess what his race is? I've never seen just American job applications or the census, just as he's never seen where to check ethnicity or color on applications in the census. Yeah, this dude is lying, you know what I mean? Same with the fresh and fit tether terrorists. Yeah, you're talking about Amrou Foudil. Also, classism has always been a fundamental issue, the fight between the haves and the have-nots. Well, yeah, capitalism is just the offshoot or, the brainchild of feudalism. And classism is always going to reign supreme. The thing is, anti-Blackness, i.e. racism, is the gift that keeps on giving, because all you have to do is mention George Floyd, or what about Chicago or Oakland and Baltimore, and then suddenly everyone gets on code and start bashing Black people. There needs to be more fathers in the home. Oh, Black women are too promiscuous and there's too many single mothers. And then it turns into that. And then every race is doing that. And then you get even black people doing it. A lot of they do it because it's for money. You tap dance for money. And then others do it because, maybe they're genuine and they want to see change. Most of it is unproductive because it's just people complaining about a problem, but they're not doing anything to change the problem. If you are presenting a problem while also not presenting a solution, that is called whining. So many of these people don't even live near blacks. People will be saying, what about Chicago? I'm like, dude, you live in Wyoming. There's no black people there. You live in Montana. You live in Maine. There's no black people there. Why the hell are you talking about Chicago? And then, people will be saying, oh, yeah, well, I'm just sick of seeing the news. Like, you're not forced to watch that news channel. So a lot of this shit that people be complaining about, it just keeps distracting them. So let's just go with that, right? Black people are these low IQ, degenerate, thuggish monkeys running around, chimping out, right? Is it because some goofy niggas in Chicago is doing drive-bys? Is that why you don't have universal health care for everybody? Are the housing costs nationally going up because of some goofy dudes in Oakland? Is the federal minimum wage, which is still $8.25, I believe it's $7.25, but let's just go with $8.25. That's the federal national minimum wage. Is the reason why it's staying that because of George Floyd? The reason why college tuition has skyrocketed? Is that because of black on black crime? So all of these goofy things distract you. What is the more pressing issue, for people to talk about? But, people see black people, FBA specifically, as society's doormat that you can just kind of step in dog poop and just, wipe your shoes on and just say, oh, yeah, it's the blacks, they're just like that. You know what I mean? Okay. So if we're just like that, why are you complaining about crime? Aren't we predisposed to just act like this? Aren't we just so dumb and so savage that we have to commit crime? It's just genetic. And then they start saying, oh, no, it's not genetic. It's the fathers in the home. It just goes back and forth with the BS excuses. But let's commence.
A license?
Yes.
What do you identify on your license? What does it say?
I guess it probably says black. I don't know. That's
no, it wouldn't say black. And if it does say black, then that would be a problem.
Yeah.
This is getting extremely pathetic. He asked the dude, what race does it say you're identified as on your license? He's 55 something years old and he doesn't know what his race is. He's saying it probably says black. You're not black. So why the hell would you say probably black? And that's why flat blackness is dead. That's why there's many people that are black. They trying to say French Montana is black. And when you say, no, he's not black. Well, he's African. African doesn't mean black. Elon Musk is African. Charlize Theron is African. So even when people say I'm black, based on what? The one drop rule? And even if you were black, you ain't foundational black American Negro freedman. Nuh-uh. No way. No how. Let's commence. This is getting extremely pathetic. This fucking Arab is trying to say that he doesn't know if he's black or not. Sheesh.
Okay. So you even come from you're mixed race. You're different. What do you identify on paper as an American?
American?
There's no such thing called American in the U.S. Census, which you identify as. You have to identify as a race. So I'm assuming you identify as white and Caucasian.
Non-white.
Okay, what is non-white? What do you identify as on the U.S. Census?
I don't even know. I've never identified in the U.S. Census.
Yeah, you do. If you have a license, do you have a license?
Yes.
What do you identify on your license? What does it say?
I guess it probably says black. I don't know.
No, it wouldn't say black. And if it does say black, then that would be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know what it says. I gotta check that.
It probably says,
hold on 1 second. My wallet's right here. Let me check.
Okay. It probably says white, which a lot of Arabs, you guys consider yourself white when you get to America, which is why the majority of the country says white. It's not actually true because a lot of people that come from different countries identify as white.
My race doesn't say anything. Are you talking about my race?
Yeah. What do you identify on paper as your race? Census.
It says nothing. I'm looking at my driver's license right now. It says my hair, my
Do you
eye
have
color,
any?
but it
Do you
doesn't-
have any identification that shows? 'Cause you don't know. Hold on. My thing is, how old are you? You said you 54, 53?
Yeah.
How do you not know what
Mhm.
you identify?
I gotta give a special shout out to Big Rig. Brody is in the building. Yo to the yo 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 yo. What it did it do? But yeah, Big Rig, you see this clown. And if any of y'all want to come up, I'm only letting up, trusted people. I can't have no trolls. I can't have no goofies. But sincere, the lovely sincere, you always good. Big Rig, you know what it is. John, what it dooski. But yeah, I'll let this play. But this got me, man. This dude over here acting like I don't know if I'm black or not. Like, bruh, this is what we're dealing with in 2025.
On paper in America?
Because it doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter. You have to identify something on paper when you apply
Why?
for a job. Why?
No,
Because you don't have to identify with your race on a job application.
Bro, I filled out plenty job applications. You do not have to fill out.
I've never ever filled out a job application where I didn't have to identify my race, my guy, ever.
I have a small business, so maybe
you are doing practices that aren't justified. But I don't know anybody. Has anybody ever filled out an application where you didn't have to put your race? You have to put your gender and your race.
Gender, yeah, never my race.
You have to put your race on mostly every single application. I've never not had to do that.
Why is this dude lying so much?
The reason why I asked you the question about whether or not it depends on how a person identifies or what they really are.
Your question was, hold on, because I want to go back to that. Your question was, if there's identification between Black Americans, Africans, and Caribbeans, correct? Why you said, well, what about a cop? Why does the identification of a Black person have to do with a negative interaction with the police? Answer that question.
Sure. Police identify stop and frisk. If they see someone with a do-rag and they got the loud music on, that is different than a person, and we don't even care about the color. Someone with a do-rag on and loud music, acting accordingly, those people will be identified because of the way they're acting. It doesn't matter how they look. Now, if you have someone who's riding with the windows down or the windows up, no tints, no music blasting, and they're seated in their normal position without looking the way that they do, it does depend to differentiate between a police officer. And this speaks to the bigger question that I was going to get to, is law and order, but I'm not going to get there yet. So the reason why I think it's important is because when you say people identify as a different color, what you need to understand is, and I said nothing about a white police officer. I just said a police officer. If you have a police officer looking,
go ahead.
If a police officer is looking, whether he's black, white, Chinese, or candy stripe, and he sees somebody, he's not differentiated between a Haitian, a Jamaican, and an African.
But this is my question to you. Who gives a fuck what a cop thinks? My identification. No. You're.
Hey, I just dropped the link, but that's only for the fam. And it's okay if nobody wants to come up. I'm still gonna rock out. If I don't know you, I don't recognize, and you ain't never put nothing in the pot, and the pot is hit the Cash App. I'm gonna have to drop that. Where the hell is my Cash App? Let me go ahead and drop that. But yeah, I'll commence.
You're completely off the rails, my guy. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Listening.
Genuinely listen. I'm trying to really enlighten you.
I'm trying to listen.
Your question to me as a Black American.
Oh, I remember the point now. He keeps saying, first he wants to act like we live in this colorblind utopia and color doesn't matter, ethnicity doesn't matter. And he keeps saying, oh, if the cop pulls you over, why does it matter if you're FBA or Haitian and all this stuff? No one is saying that in that instance that, hey, it matters more. But to the cops, it actually does. If they hear certain accents or see certain last names, there have been reports where, certain people have been treated more favorably or unfavorably based on, immigration status, last names, etc. So this is a real thing. There's countless videos and articles where people could look this up. Regardless, if a Nigerian person gets brutalized by the cops, that's horrible, and I don't want that to happen. That doesn't suddenly make him FBA. That doesn't suddenly make him Haitian because the cops didn't know if he was Haitian, so they beat the hell out of him. Yeah, he's still Nigerian, right? If they see a Haitian and the cops beat the heck out of him, that doesn't suddenly make him Congolese. That's unfortunate, and I don't want none of my brothers from the diaspora and none of my brothers from a different mother and a different melanin to get beat up, disenfranchised, or any of that. But come on now. If a cop is beating the crap out of a Japanese person, that does not make them Filipino. These concepts are not confusing. You should be able to explain this to a 6-year-old, but this 55-year-old white Arab is acting like he don't even know what the hell is going on. We gotta do better. It's 2025. Get it together.
My identification, you're asking me basically what you're putting me on the construct under is your identification has to be under the identification of what a white person may think or a cop in general would think. Why is that your construct? Because at the end of the day, who gives a if he thinks all of you are just one big Negro? Who cares? My identification and my classification doesn't matter. You know that there's a difference between a Mexican, an El Salvadorian, and a Dominican. Although they all may speak Spanish. Would you ask the Mexican, hey, Mexican, why are you differentiating from El Salvadorians when the cop is going to see you the same? You wouldn't ask that question. You wouldn't even bring up a cop as the analogy. But even if you did, even if you did ask that question, that would still be a delusional question.
Once again, another lie. He's saying absolutely he would ask him. If you would ask him, you got 55,000 followers. Go into Mexican, Hispanic, Honduran, Venezuelan spaces. Go in their spaces and ask them. Actually, you're a white Arab. Why aren't you out talking about free Palestine? Why aren't you talking about the genocide that's taking place in Gaza? It's just a complete, utter obliteration. And guess what he's worried about? FBAs. Dude, stay in your lane, bruh.
To ask, because their own identification is not under the construct of a cop. Who gives a what the cop thinks? Because the cops aren't the ones on the U.S. Census making the decision. Who gives a and actually, if you want to get down to it, there's actually multiple videos of even a Haitian guy speaking about how he has a different last name and he speaks with his accent. A cop knows, okay, you're different from a Black American because you have a different last name. And this is no disrespect to African.
And thank you for this comment, Sincere. The police do racially profile. That is a fact, regardless to what a Black person has on, but that has nothing to do with self-identification and the self-concept of an individual being. And that's all we're saying. Yes, you know, if a Black Nigerian is driving and a Black Haitian is driving and a foundational Black American is driving and a Black Congolese person is driving, yes, they can all be subjugated to the same targeting and racial profiling. But just because they're all air quote Black and they get pulled over, that doesn't make them all the same ethnicity, all the same lineage, that have the same culture and customs. It just means that they were racially targeted.
Caribbeans, by the way, I'm just making a distinction. You have a different last name. Your last name could be Olumide, which is usually maybe a Nigerian last name. You can turn in your accent like that and you can switch it. So a cop knows the difference between a Black American, a African, and a Caribbean is a little bit different because it's harder to tell because Caribbeans had, they got an admixture of Europeans when they colonized as well. But when it comes to Africans, we have different last names than Black Americans. We have different cultures. We have different ethnic groups. We have different tribes. Americans aren't really tribal. They have different tribes. They identify from different things.
Oh,
so
Americans
that's
are
the
tribal.
point. No, we don't have, Black Americans don't have tribes in which we identify as. No, we don't. Not the same way as African does.
I'm saying Americans do, maybe not you. Okay, so, but I think that really doesn't matter. The reason why I was discussing that with you, and
why'd you bring it up if it don't matter?
But I just want to extrapolate and kind of get the 35,000 foot view of what we're talking about. The bigger thing that I want to discuss, and I'm sure you know that is the big thing on the news right now, is law and order, son. We bring in law and order to a city near everyone. So if there's going to be an issue with quote unquote racism against racial profiling, you cannot tell me about any issue between any version of Black person that you want to talk about that may be identified or not identified or whatever it is, when it's going down in Chirac and the YNs is running through the street with the pipes and the switches, and they ain't plumbers. What I want to understand is, what is the difference between ICE making this movement and doing what they got to do? Do you agree with ICE? You said
Yes,
you agree.
I do. I support.
Now you seen how he snuck that in there. First, he's going all the way around. He's conflating foundational Black Americans, and then he brings automatically ICE. ICE is immigration enforcement. We're not immigrants, and the people that are immigrants, Nigerian, Haitian, the people that had TPS, we have a different lineage, we have a different background, we have a different status in this country. I don't want to see them mistreated just because they're immigrants or just because they're of a different flavor of Black and have a different ethnicity. I don't want to see that happen, but some people came here illegally, some people are undocumented, and they're going to be targeted. We're already, if Black citizens are racially targeted, why the hell would you think that a non-citizen who came here illegally, who may happen to be Black, why the hell you think they wouldn't be targeted? And then this dude is over here, and this is why I despise that term YN, because all it is just an abbreviation of young nigga, right? People have been saying young nigga, old nigga, for any type of nigga for ages, right? The difference is now anyone says that. You can see someone in the suburbs. I'm in the Bay Area, so Walnut Creek, Black Hawk, Moraga, Orinda, you know what I mean? Sausalito, Tiburon, Foster City, San Mateo, some places like that. People going to school, no Black kids around, but YN this, YN that. Utah, YN that. And this dude, and my thing is, if you gonna say YN, just say young nigga, because that's all you're trying to say. That's what it means. It's just like when somebody says a 304, just say hoe, because that's what a 304 is, a hoe. So just say that. You know what I mean? So when he's saying young niggas, YNs, what, see, this is where people will try to say, oh, I didn't say the N word. Actually, you did. You just abbreviated it. It's just like when someone says ILY. I didn't say I love you, so why'd you say ILY? That's what you meant to say, right? You meant to say I love you, but you abbreviated it. Now, I ain't into those goofy abbreviations, but that's what it means. If somebody says HBD, so if I say HBD, Big Rig, I didn't say happy birthday. Why did you say HBD? HBD means happy birthday. So him over here saying the YN's this, the YN's that. I never said nigga. Actually, you did. You saying YN is you saying nigga. So you know, but sometimes people are so scared anyone could say YN. Fine. I got a saying, and I'm printing up some merch. All slurs matter. If we're saying that anybody can say nigga because it's just a word, then I could call your mama a bitch. But hold on. I don't mean it like that. I mean that your mama's a beautiful bitch and you're a son of a bitch in an endearing way. You know, when I see your daughter, I'll call her a precious bitch, but I mean it in the most respectful way because I heard it in a rap song, and women call each other bitches. So why can't I call other people bitches? You know, if you're a Hispanic, you know what I mean? I might call you a beaner. I might call you no, I won't call you a beaner. I'll call you a beaner. I put an A at the end. I won't call you a wetback. I'll call you a wetbacker. I put an A at the end. So it's not the same. You feel me? I mean, ain't that what we doing? Why should nigga be the only slur? All slurs matter, right? Let's be all inclusive. You say nigga however much you want, este, and I'll call you a mayate. You call me a nigga, I call you a mayate. Deal? Comprende? Let's commence.
Yep, all the way.
So we have a movement that comes in. This is going to be the cross section though, because this is how Trump works. Trump is activating ICE in that area.
I know.
So that because he wants the protest to happen. That way he can activate the federalization of the National Guard. Now, when that federalization of the National Guard comes, and I'm so glad that you agree with a closed border, because the people who get hurt with a closed border first, as you know,
Are Black Americans.
Are Black Americans first, and unskilled workers like myself who cut grass for a living. So when I'm on my live and I'm pumping and doing my thing, the first thing people come in here and they ask me is, what has Trump done for you? And the first thing I tell them is, I can now charge more for grass cutting because Julio ain't showing up to work. And that's keeping it 150,000%.
Okay, so I want go. Yeah, if I want you to finish, I want to get to your main point.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there. But what I'm saying about law and order, you have these people coming in to do their job. Guess who's going to get caught up in the quote unquote crossfires of what's going on?
Yeah, Black Americans.
All the YNs that are out there doing their thing. So
yeah, I don't know if you know.
There he goes again. He said YN twice already, which means that he said nigga twice already. And here he is on a panel with a Black American who didn't use the term nigga, who didn't use the term YN in this context. So once again, this is the people's slick way to say the N-word without saying it. So I'd rather him just call them what he is calling them. Call them young niggas, and I'll call him what he is, a sand nigga, because this dude is an Arab. He's talking about young niggas. He's a sand nigga. I'll be a real nigga. Some dudes on the block is a young niggas, and this is a sand genie, came out the bottle, Aladdin type nigga. But let's commence.
Oh, bro, I broke that down earlier. That was literally what my stream was about earlier.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
I'm live on YouTube right now. We had about 100 plus people on my YouTube channel.
I know. I came in through YouTube. That's why I was there. I was checking you out on YouTube.
So that was what that was, because I do a dating show. So this is the dating show. But earlier when I was doing that, that's what that breakdown was. Yeah, we talked about the whole entire thing. I reacted to a video. I did a whole breakdown on that. So, and I think
so. How do you? But this is what I'm saying though. You're saying that it doesn't matter what a cop thinks. How can you say that?
I never said that. I never said that. Now you're putting words in my mouth. Now, one time that I ever say it doesn't matter what a cop thinks in general. What I said was my identification is not under what a cop thinks. My identification is my identification, regardless if a cop thinks I'm the same or not. I don't give a fuck what a cop thinks. The same way that logic would apply with you. You don't give a fuck what a Black person thinks if we just throw all Middle Easterners in the same room. You don't give a fuck because your identification is your identification. You know that there's a distinction between Syrians. You know there's a distinction between people who classify as Arab or Muslims or whatever it is. There's a distinction. If I say, oh, if I just be like, oh, that's just Osama. That's a pretty kind of like kind of like a racist term. But regardless of the fact, you don't give a fuck about what my thought process is and how I look at you, because you are your own community and you base your decision not off of what the I think. That's the point that I was making. So yeah, you probably have cops that don't get.
So once again, this dude is just babbling incoherently all over the place. Remember, he was talking about ICE, which is immigration enforcement. Now he goes back to YN culture, talking about the pipes and the switches. And then he was talking about, oh, I thought you supported the immigration and I cut grass. So now it's about him cutting grass and being a fucking landscaper. And then he goes back to YN culture with the pipes and the switches and Dracos. What the hell is this dude talking about?
But that's not my point. I don't give a fuck what a cop thinks as far as my identification. I know that there's a difference, and people know that there's a difference, and that's all that matters to me. I don't give a fuck about what a cop thinks if he wants to do something to a Black person. There's nothing to do with my argument.
So, okay, but my greater point is what I'm talking about is there is a distinct culture difference.
Absolutely.
For instance.
Yeah.
So if you have people who are not from this country, of whatever skin color that they are, and the people who are of this country, you can put them together and you will tell that there's a massive clash in culture. And for the most part, there is dark on dark racism that occurs, because if you have somebody who's from whatever nation that you want to say, Jamaicans are not the biggest proponent for African Americans, if you know any Jamaicans.
What is an African American?
What I would call just a regular Black person walking in the street that's, I don't know, listening to hip hop, doing their thing.
No.
I think you have a very. I'm talking about the YN community specifically.
What does a YN stand for?
You know what a YN talk the same.
I don't know. I have no idea. Why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Okay, the switches and the pipes, bro. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. First of all, let me explain something to you. First of all, a African American.
You see how cowardly he is? He said YN about 4 or 5 times. And then when the dude asked him, what's a YN? You know what a YN is, bro. Once again, if I say HBD, Riggs, hey, what is HBD? Oh, that means happy birthday. You know what I mean? What's a YN? You know what a YN is, bruh. You keep using it. You said it about 4 or 5 times now. And now keep saying the switches in the pipes, the switches in the pipes. Okay, cool. Name a black gun manufacturing company. There's Middle Eastern gun manufacturing companies. So his community is more adroit with guns than the black community. His community would be more of a potential supplier of guns than the black community. Where are these guns coming from? Right? Because we're these low IQ savage thugs. So clearly we're not making and manufacturing and mass producing these guns. So where's it coming from? From his culture, from his community. But he's talking about the gun community, but he's not. Remember I told you, Big Rig, shout out to Big Rig in the chat. Remember I told you what people's kryptonite is? A mirror. Hold up a mirror and that will be their kryptonite. Remember that I think it was Snow White. She kept saying, who was the fairest of them all? What was telling her the truth? That gosh darn mirror, right? And what was she doing? She was lashing out on everybody else because the mirror was telling her about herself. You showed a mirror to everybody else and they have to really have some introspection. And instead of doing that, they point the finger at other people and start talking about YN culture. This dude is an Arab. Why do you think they were calling them Muslim terrorists? That's not something I came up with. This is the bigoted white supremacist culture that talks about his culture. And he's over here talking about the pipes and the switches. Bro, your culture has suicide bombers. Your culture has beheadings. Your culture has Sharia law. Your culture has FMG, female and blank mutilation. Just for the sake of YouTube, they censor a lot of stuff. But y'all can look at what FMG is. This is what I always tell you. This is their culture. Ain't okay, they want to let us hold this. Okay, cool. We gotta hold it that our YNs is in the street going around doing random drive-bys. Okay, we gotta hold that, right? But then you gotta hold the suicide bombers, right? And then peep this. He talked about Chirac. It's funny that he brought up Chirac. Why do they call Chirac Chirac? Because they're saying Iraq is an actual war zone. And they're saying that Chi-Town is an offshoot of the real thing, which means Iraq or Iraq is the real war zone. That's his culture. He comes from Middle Eastern depravity, disenfranchisement, destruction. And he's talking about YN culture with pipes and switches. Are you kidding me? Come on now.
Because if you actually did your research, an African American,
I don't care nothing about that culture at all. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't care that you care, but if you're bringing up an argument and you're trying to bring up if you're trying to bring up something in a debate, you have to know what you're talking about. So when I ask you what's a African American, and you say, I don't know, a regular black person walking down the street with pipes and switches, that's not an African American. So let me tell you what it is, because you don't understand it because you don't do enough research, and that's okay. I'll enlighten you. So what an African American is an immigrant who moves to America. That's what an African American is. It's an immigrant who comes from Africa and comes to America. Did you know that Elon Musk is an African American?
Wow.
By definition, he is, because the same way someone is like an Indian American, a Mexican American, a Chinese American, those are people who have a distinct actual lineage from that place, or they come from that place and come over here. That's when you attach the hyphen between the two.
And just real quick, just to clarify, Muslim is a following of a religion. Islam is not an ethnicity. I did want to clarify that. And hopefully I didn't misspeak, because, yeah, this is the sentiment that I was trying to put out there. but a lot of people do confuse it, even with Arab, right? That's not a race, and then when you think of Muslim, people do think of people that look like him, somebody from Lebanon or Syria, but there's a significant Black Muslim population that basically is shunned, marginalized, and not seen as true Muslims for whatever reason, you know what I mean? But it's all on political, social framing. But let's commence.
Because there are two. So when you say African American, I'm not an African American. By definition, I couldn't be. I'm a Black American, a foundational Black American. That's what I mean, Black American. I'm sorry. Yeah. So okay, but when you say a Black American, even if your example was your example, the average Black American is not walking around with pipes and switches, listening to hip hop and talking like this, nigga. That's not what the average Black American does.
Not all, but most.
Okay, most based on what?
Not all, but most.
Okay, cool. Based.
You see how disrespectful he is? Not all, but most. Most means the majority. This dude doesn't know the majority of Black people. So once again, I say, hey, y'all have heard this before. If y'all really rock with me, y'all know my method. It's called Cecil. The acronyms SESL. Same energy, same logic. Keep the same energy, apply the same logic. So keeping that same energy, then okay, cool. We gotta hold that, right? Most of us is on the pipe, YN, pan sagging, baby mama, sexy red, thought twerking culture, right? That's most of us, right? We have to hold that. But on the flip side, keeping that same energy and applying the same logic, he has to hold with some female that are getting their breastises, you know what I mean, snipped like a morning rose, you know what I mean? He has to hold these suicide bombers. He has to hold being called a sand nigga. He has to hold being called a terrorist. He has to hold, a lot of that Sharia mistreatment of women, right? Let's all just hold the most toxic elements of our culture, right? Mexicans got to hold everything that the cartel is responsible for. Colombians got to do the same thing. Irish, whatever. You are defined by the mafia. Jewish, you are defined by those PDF files that are fleeing to Israel and giving safe haven. Hey, let's all just hold, everybody got to hold their own nuts and hold their own mess. See, we're these low IQ, degenerate, savage thugs. So we're used to being marginalized and, being called stupid. So, we'll hold that. But yeah, y'all got to hold, y'all serving burgers that has rat feces in it and rats climbing on it and cockroaches and stuff. Y'all got to hold that. Y'all got to hold that. Y'all have child marriages at 10 years old and sometimes younger. Y'all got to hold in some Jewish cultures where they take the foreskin of a circumcised baby and kiss it. Hey, that's their culture, right? And I got to put that on everybody. Just like we got to hold all the crime and dysfunction, everybody got to hold all elements of their culture, right? If we ain't doing that, then, hey, I smell hypocrisy. But let's commence.
Based on what numbers and statistics that you have to prove that?
I need anecdotal evidence. I need personal experience. And
wait, hold on. So anecdotal evidence. Let's use your logic. Let's use your logic. Well, I'm going to let you finish and I'm going to walk you down with this argument. Thank you very much. Go ahead and finish. I'm going to walk you down with this. Go ahead.
So not all, but most. And this is the fact, whether it's...
I know you got that from Jesse Lee Peterson, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that is amazing. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that amazing? That's amazing.
So use your own talking points. Don't steal nobody else's talking points. No, do that.
I'm not taking anyone's
talking. Yeah, you did. You got it from Jesse Lee Peterson. Yes, you did.
No. Well,
yes, you did. You just said, you said amazing. Amazing.
This is wild, bruh. He stole 2 talking points from a known Sambo tap dancing raccoon platoon dude. Why is anyone listen to Jesse Lee Peterson? All he does is just, and I'm gonna use something from the lovely Sincere. Jesse Lee Peterson, he likes to feed, and I'm gonna take it a step further. He likes to feed white people beans, like a bean salad, a bean pie with extra beans. Let them get all, get all that fiber, and then when it start bubbling, you know what I mean, he gives them some milk, you know what I mean, and when they guts start bubbling, he goes to spread cheeks and suck the farts out of white people's booties. That's how much of a Sambo soldier Jesse Lee Peterson is. He sucks farts, and sometimes those farts turn into sharts. You feel me? And he don't always have his face mask on. So that's the type of Sambo Jesse Lee Peterson is. And this dude says that he listens to him, and then he does this goofy Jesse Lee Peterson impression. So you always wonder, man, how is Jesse Lee Peterson and all of these raccoon platoons standing in business? It's because dudes like this support them, you know what I mean? But yeah, this is wild. This is not a good showing for the high IQs.
Peterson, my guy.
You gonna let me finish?
I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm just calling that out. You got that from another person.
Okay, exactly, because he's one of the people that I get information from. I'm not taking any talking points from him. What I'm saying is you need to do a better job in responsibility for Black Americans and explain it to them.
No. Let's debate the numbers, my guy. Let's debate the numbers. I don't care about your own personal anecdote. Let's debate the statistics. I asked you a simple. I asked you.
You hear him? You need to do a better job. Who is you, my guy? You come from an immigrant background. You come from the Middle East, where it's always war going on there. And guess who they're killing? Other Arabs, mainly, other Middle Eastern people. They consider themselves brown, right? So guess what it is? Brown on brown crime. The genocide in Gaza makes Chicago, Baltimore, St. Louis, Oakland combined look like child's play. It looks like Disneyland compared to what's happening in the Middle East. Why do you think they call it Chirac? Come on now.
Asked you a simple question. What are your numbers to prove that the average Black American is walking around with pipes and switches and listening to hip hop?
That's not what I said.
And Sincere says, I swear Jesse looked like he suffered from some sort of genetic disorder. He might suffer from a bussy disorder. Like, I think he has a hankering and, a proclivity for turd tapping, because there was a scandal that came out where allegedly, they were saying like Jesse plays for the other team. Now it could have been a hit piece, it could have been lies. It is alleged, but there were a bunch of some Brads and some Benjamins that came out and said Jesse Lee Peterson spread they bussy open. But that's allegedly. And when people ask him about it, that's the only time that he don't say amazing. He say amazing. And then when people be like, hey, did you top or did you bottom? And then suddenly he gets mad. Like, hey, bruh, you always want to talk about Black people and Black culture and all this other stuff, but it's like you was over there getting bent over. I mean, were you getting pegged or were you doing the pegging? Who knows and who cares? It's just like, bruh, is Jesse Lee Peterson or Bussy Lee Peterson in any position to talk? I'm just saying.
That's literally verbatim. Would you like me to bring back the recording and play it on live?
You could bring back the recording if you want to and play it on live. That's not what I said.
That's literally what you said. You said the average African American, and then I said, what's the average African American?
I said the average, and then you explained to me what an African American was, and I appreciate you doing that because I didn't know what it was. I'm sorry.
I know you don't. There's a lot of stuff you don't know, but it's okay.
Apparently because I don't have a student loan debt, so I'm sorry.
This dude is insufferable. I'm gonna let it play, but he's talking about African Americans, right? And then he doesn't even know what an African American is. That's like me talking about Muslims or Hindus or Buddhists. But I was like, yeah, I don't really know what a Buddhist is. So why the hell are you talking about it? Oh, because I have 55,000 followers. Yeah, dude, and you're 55 years old. This is wild. the Brads, the Benjamins, the Darrens, and this is their one. It's a Chad. A Chad is kind of like the white version of a Pookie, but you know the real white version of Pookie is Wookie. You know who Wookie is? White Pookie.
No, it's not about student loan debt. If you're coming to debate, you got to know what you're talking about. With 50,000 followers, you got to know.
Hold on. I appreciate what you're saying. What I'm saying.
That's literally verbatim. Would you like me to bring back the recording and play it on live?
You could bring back the recording if you want to and play it on live. That's not what I said.
That's literally what you said. You said the average African American, and then I said, what's the average African American?
I said the average, and then you explained to me what African American was, and I appreciate you doing that because I didn't know what it was. I'm sorry.
I know you don't. There's a lot of stuff you don't know. But it's okay.
Apparently, because I don't have a student loan debt, so I'm sorry I didn't get away.
No, it's not about student loan debt. If you're coming to debate, you got to know what you're talking about. With 50,000 followers, you got to know.
Hold on. I appreciate what you're saying.
And shout out to Big Rig, because this is a powerful comment. All them followers and can't lead a real conversation. I think Big Rig, you got like 2,000 subs or something? Big Rig got like 2 or 3K subs or something like that, right? But when we over there, outside of the chicanery and buffoonery that occasionally happens, which is engaging and entertaining, but we chop real game over there. He got a show with a couple different people. He interviewed artists. He got lit people in the chat like Jackie, Sincere, Vibrant, you know what I mean? People that are engaging. And it's, you have a good time over there, you know what I mean? And then the occasional buffoons come over, and buffoons gonna do what they do. But all of that leads to the engagement and the entertaining factor. But I enjoy watching that. Then, like, there's nothing that this dude has said that has been substantive. Nothing that he said been interesting. He's not funny. He looks corny. He's fat, sloppy, and out of shape. He doesn't even know if he's white. He's saying, oh, I think I'm black. This dude doesn't know if he's black, but he said he might be listed as black. Dude, you know you're not black. Like I said, he is glazing Trump like a honey ham on Christmas Day. So this stuff is just pathetic. And 55,000 people want to subscribe to that. I don't even got nowhere near 1,000 subs. Now, I just be doing random impromptu streams like this. I don't have a schedule. So, I know a lot of it is on me, because like if I truly focus, I know that my numbers can go up and will go up, and they are going to go up. But I mean, I probably won't get 55,000 subs, you know what I mean? Because when you talk that real shit, people really don't want to hear it. You feel me? People want to hear Jerry Springer, Maury Povich type stuff. And that stuff is funny and entertaining to a point. Think of it like a donut, right? I love donuts. Donuts are great. They got old fashioned, the maple, the sprinkle. But if you are waking up and eating a donut for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and then you wake up for a midnight snack and it's a donut, at some point, you know what I mean? You think it's good because it tastes good, but it's destroying your body, destroying your mind, destroying your energy. So something that you said was good was really bad, because you convinced yourself that it was good because of how it tastes, but it wasn't good. And that's how it is with a lot of this content. You convince yourself that it's good or it's worth your time because it was funny or entertaining, or so-and-so got owned or wrecked or exposed. But it's like, how was that good for your health? Some of y'all got kids, right? And your kid is barely passing grades, but everybody else's business. The celebrities who smashing who, who's divorcing who, but you don't know what your kid's GPA is. So it's a lot of stuff. So all subscribers and all views, they say all money ain't good money. All followers ain't good. All views ain't good. Now for someone that's thirsty and desperate for views, then it would be great for you. But for me, I mean, I want genuine subscribers, people that really support me, people that want to listen to real game, soak it up, and then give me some game. You know what I mean? I give game, but I also soak up game too. I teach, but I'm also willing to learn. If you ain't learning, you ain't living. But let's commence.
What I'm saying is there needs to be a level of accountability for the average Black American carrying pipes and switches. There needs to be accountability for the Black community.
Okay,
whole.
let's debate that. Let's debate it. Let's debate it.
This is getting on my nerves. He's saying there needs to be accountability for the average African American person, for the YN culture carrying pipes and switches. First of all, dude, you're a white Arab. Who the hell are you to try to tell us what we need to have accountability for? And this is where it gets really goofy in these online spaces. Somebody thinks that getting online and yelling at somebody about something that they did or they should have done, they think that's accountability. So right now, if someone has an issue, they're gonna fire up a live, yell at the person and say, I held them accountable. How? That person's life didn't change, their behavior didn't change. Yeah, but I held them accountable by making a pointless video that didn't change anything. Now, if you made it just for content and you gain something monetarily, then just say that it was for monetary gain and entertainment value. That I can respect. But the accountability, you don't have the power or authority to hold anyone accountable. What the hell are you talking about? Black people are held accountable the most. Why do you think we're socially ostracized, stigmatized, and demonized? Guess what that is? Accountability. We're locked up more than anyone else. You know why? For the same crime, on average, don't take my word for this, look it up. A Black male that does the same crime as a white male will get 20% time, 20% extra time on average. That's not just accountability. That's beyond accountability. That's disproportionate punishment. So what the hell are we talking about with accountability? We get longer sentences. We get our women attacking us. We get our brothers attacking us. We get our family attacking us. How is that not accountability? You got Sambos like Charleston White. Isn't he, air quote, holding the Black community accountable? You got coons like Officer Tatum, Myron Gaines, Amru Fudil, Jesse Lee Peterson. All they do is complain about Black people. Isn't that accountability? So how is Jesse Lee Peterson really holding anyone accountable? He's an old, frail, suspected, buck-broken bozo. How is he holding anyone accountable by making a podcast? So it is, people just got to chill with this accountability. You know, we are socially stigmatized, and that's not usually a good thing. And that is what holds us accountable. How many times you hear toxic, snaggletooth chicks hop up? Black man didn't build anything. Niggas ain't shit. Real ass bitch give a fuck about a nigga. Ain't that accountability, right? She's saying, hey, I don't give a fuck about you niggas and you didn't build anything. I'm holding you accountable for the fact that you didn't build anything. You don't have to like it, but that's what accountability is. Hey, you niggas are savage thugs and you're low IQ, and that's why you're locking us up. Now, you don't got to agree with that, but isn't that accountability? So Black people, y'all got to stop with this goofy ass. Black community needs to hold each other accountable. Show me the podcast of Mexicans and Hondurans and Venezuelans talking about brown on brown crime. Which gang is more dangerous and more organized? Mexican cartel or the Crips? Which gang is more dangerous and more organized? Tren de Aragua or the Bloods? Which gang is more organized? The Jewish mafia, the Italian mafia, or some Grape Street Crips? Like, what are we talking about here? These other cultures are much more organized, much more violent, much more strategic. They're even more criminal because they're doing these crimes and getting away with it. It's a criminal enterprise. Meanwhile, Black people don't have no criminal enterprise. And if they did, they would get hit with a RICO. Why didn't El Chapo get hit with a RICO? They made him to be a lone wolf. We know he had help, but El Chapo, you can't say that that's Hispanic or Mexican culture. But when you see here Big Meech couldn't hold a candle to El Chapo. Big Meech is Black culture, but El Chapo was just a lone wolf. Get the fuck out of here.
don't care if you say we need to, let's debate it. I don't really care about you're trying to do ad hominems. Let's debate the numbers.
That's not ad hominem. That's not, I'm not coming to you.
I don't want to have to mute you. You notice I haven't muted you this entire time. I'm not a mute monster, but let's debate it because I don't care about the other stuff. Let's debate it. Now, you said the average, and then you said not all, like Jason Lee Peterson would say, but most. So when you say most, do you know what most means?
More than a few.
No, that's not what most means. Most means more than most means the majority. That's what it means.
Once again, he's using words he don't even know. He's talking about African American. Well, I don't know what an African American is. I just use that term. He's using most. And then he's saying, well, most means more than a few. That's not what most means, my guy. The high IQs, y'all looking bad.
It doesn't mean more than a
few. More than the few. That's the majority.
No, a few could be 3. But if the overall number is 20 and you say more than a few could be 3. And then you can say more than a few could be 4. Well, that would equal to 8.
You're right.
That wouldn't equal to most. I know. Exactly. So you got to understand math might not be a strong point. So let's get down to the truth. Okay. So the average or the most Black Americans are walking around with switches and pipes based on
that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
What did you say? Repeat what you said then.
I said the average Black American who is walking around with switches and pipes needs to be held accountable. And also the greater Black community in America needs to be held accountable for the actions of their nephews, nieces, and children.
Okay, what percentage of Black Americans are walking around with switches and pipes?
How about the kids on Chicago? I don't know. I'm not talking about kids.
But my God, listen to me.
Biloxi, that's an issue.
Listen to me.
It's Memphis.
Listen to me.
It's Louisiana.
You can name all the cities.
It's Philly.
Listen to me. You're just babbling at this point. Listen to me.
No, I'm telling you what you don't want to hear.
No, it's not about what I don't want to hear. I want to hear the numbers and the stats that you have to prove. That's all I'm telling you to bring up. Bring up the stats. You're unmuted. I'm muting you because you keep babbling. Bring up the stats, my guy.
What stats do I need? 1580? You want to hear 1580? 15% of the population responsible for 80% of the crime?
That's not true. You switched the numbers. No, let's stay on that. I'm so glad you brought that up. So actually, that's not true. It's actually 15% of the population.
Here he goes again with that talking point, the 1350, the per capita, that Blacks commit most of the crime. And it's been debunked that those crime stats are misleading. They don't even really know the crime. And I'll give you an example. For instance, just Labor Day just passed, right? And the headline reads, 58 shot in Chicago and 8 died, which is unfortunate, right? But the way they group it, they make it seem like this just was this melee war zone where people were just spraying each other. And that 58 shot across the city. But no one questions the numbers. They just read the headline. So 58 people were allegedly shot and 8 people actually died, right? But guess what? They made no arrest. Hold on. They got cameras everywhere. Chicago is a major city. When Jussie Smollett did that hate crime hoax, they used all the cameras and they found out and debunked it and charged them. Suddenly, all of these mass shootings that they say is going to happen. Oh, Labor Day, 4th of July. Oh my God, it's Chirac. But suddenly they'll tell you how many people was apparently shot. But they never tell you, okay, who are the suspects? Oh, we didn't arrest anybody. So what the hell are the cops doing? They're not stopping crime. Oh, it's because they need more money and people are talking about defund the police. But y'all say you can't just throw money at the problem. So they already got robot dogs. They got drones. They got tasers that can hit you from a mile away. They got shotguns, rifles, handguns, grenades, flashbangs, frags. I mean, what more do they need? They have tanks. They have helicopters with Gatling guns mounted on them. And they're telling you, yeah, but we just need a little bit more and then we'll stop crime. And a lot of y'all go for this goofy shit. Oh, yeah, because of black on black crime. Most of the crimes are happening because of poverty. If people are out of poverty, they have less reason to commit crime. And instead of getting those people out of poverty, it's like, nah, how about we just defund their schools and disinvest from that neighborhood. That will surely make model citizens out of them, right? Goofy shit.
14%
Yeah,
of the
I heard
population.
about arrests and all that, blah blah blah.
No. Okay, so let's do it.
See, now when he's hitting with facts, he's talking about blah, blah, blah. So when people say 1350, 13% of the population commits 50% of the crime, the stats that they're citing, and they say that's from the FBI. The FBI is tracking arrest, right? Not actual convictions. And even if we get convicted at a higher rate, we're exonerated at a higher rate. Over 50+% of the exonerations means we should have never been convicted in the first place. And also, we're harshly, everything we do is a crime, like jaywalking as a crime, but it's only a crime if it's enforced. So if they don't enforce the crimes against white people, then they do less crimes. If they enforce it against us, then it's like, see, they're just prone to criminality. But studies have shown that white people commit crime at the same rate as us, if not higher rates, but due to white supremacy and the privilege bestowed upon them based on their skin pigmentation, yeah, they don't get locked up at the rate that they even should be. But this, don't take my word for it, look it up. Countless studies, research, and there's this thing that's called the eye test as well. Let's commence.
Let's stay on that topic. Let's stay right there. Because notice, no point that you made have you been able to actually intellectually bring any facts to. But I'm going to bring the facts. So you're bringing up the slave train. Stop talking. Calm down.
I made the claim I was an intellectual.
Relax. Calm down.
I'm calm.
Okay, but you got to finish and stop talking. You got to stop. You got to stop talking. I know you struggle, but you got to stop talking. Okay. So let's debate the 1350 because it's not 30. It's not 1580. You jump to a other number. It's 1350 of violent crime in America, correct? It's 1350, right? I'm asking you a question. It's 1350, right?
I don't know. I heard Ben Shapiro say it. I don't know. What is it? An FBI statistic?
This is looking bad for the high IQs. Once again, he's babbling incoherently. This is just nothing but bloviating bozo blather. He's saying, oh, I don't know what the stats is. I got it from Ben Shapiro, a fast-talking conman who is just a vile anti-black acolyte. So he's already cited amazing Jesse Lee Sambo Bussy Peterson, Ben Bozo Shapiro, or Shapiro Ho, because he is a hoe. And yeah, bruh, do your own research. You just regurgitating alternative facts and talking points from other people. This is not a good look for the alleged high IQs.
We aren't equipped for this conversation, my guy. Are you?
Oh, I'm so equipped for this conversation, bro. What you need to understand is that I am not an intellectual. I never made the claim that I read books or I know this and that. What I can tell you is that I have lived in many parts of the country, and every time I had to lock my...
We know you're not an intellectual. Clayton Bixby can see you're not an intellectual. Stevie Wonder, salute to Stevie Wonder. He can see that you're not an intellectual. This dude is nothing but an add-up tether. That's what you are. And I'll call you what the biggest would call you. You're a sad nigga. That's what you are, bruh.
It was in an urban area.
What the does that have to do with my point that I just made?
I'm not talking about your 1550 point. I
didn't say anything about 1550. You brought up the point and said it was 15% of the population committing 80% of the crime. That's actually not even the correct statistic. The actual statistic that you're actually trying to bring up is 1350. That's the talking point.
Whatever it is.
No, don't say that. Whatever it is, you went up 40%. What do you mean?
Rounding error. It's 2%.
No, so we're talking about the crime. You went from 50 to 80.
A majority of people are responsible for the majority of the crime.
Okay, so let's debate that point. Can we debate that point?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's I'm gonna help you because you said you're not an intellectual, so I'm gonna help you out a little bit.
Thank you.
With the percentage that you brought up, is it 50% of crimes committed? Yes or no?
No, it's 50% of people arrested.
Okay, cool. So we understand that when you say 15% of the crimes 50% of the crimes committed, violent crime, actually, we're not talking about white collar crime. It's not DUIs, none of those other things. And you do know the group of people who actually commit the most DUIs and unalive people the most in DUIs, right? Do you know?
Yeah, that's also the group of people who are the largest inside of the country. And I'm talking about comparatively.
Right.
So
but it's per capita. No. It's per capita. It's per capita, not raw numbers. No. Hold on. It's per capita, not raw numbers. So like white people commit more crime, raw numbers. It's per capita, my God. DUIs are per capita. It's not raw numbers. Raw numbers, you would be correct, but it's also correct in per capita when it comes to DUIs. You know that, right?
I didn't know that. But
yeah. So you know those things don't go to the murder statistics, correct?
What I know of what goes into the homicide statistics is the fact that you have a higher concentration of people who live together that commit these violent crimes against each other.
But I'm asking you about the DUI. Do you know that DUI?
Who cares about DUI?
No, I'm just bringing you because I'm bringing you.
You see, every time this dude gets presented with something that's going to be counter to his narrative, but also debunk the contradictory talking points that he has, suddenly he gets all frazzled. Oh, who cares about DUIs? The point that he's making is that if you look up the DUI deaths, where you can call it vehicular homicides, right? The majority of those people that do that are white people. But when you vehicular homicide someone, guess what is not counted as? A murder. And that's what this person, Aunt CO, is trying to explain to him, is that much of the crime stats are skewed. If it's a black person on the corner with crack and a white person on the corner with crack, and they arrest the black person, it's like, see, that's just their culture. But it's like the white dude had crack too, but he's not a criminal because he didn't get locked up. Now he's freely on the corner smoking, and then he never gets locked up, which means he's never a criminal. But actually, he is a criminal. He's just a criminal who didn't get caught. And then they also want you to think that someone that was on the corner either smoking crack or selling crack, and maybe not even that much, that person is supposed to be worse than some hedge fund manager that screwed over 20 million people out of their life savings. That's white collar crime, and it was a victimless crime. Like they wiped out someone's life savings. You know, these Bernie Madoff types, they want you to think that one random dude doing a drive-by is worse, you know what I mean, doing a drive-by on the ops, some poor, uneducated gangbanger. They want you to make it seem that, hey, that's just the black culture. It's like, actually, you guys have a culture of corruption and politics and human trafficking and the defense military industrial complex. That's where the crimes are taking place. That's the true culture of corruption. See, he's telling people, the black community, to be held accountable. So essentially, I'm in California, so they want me to hold some dude in Watts that did a drive-by, some goofy dude in Baltimore that does a drive-by, and if he happens to be black, then we need to mobilize and hold him accountable. How? If somebody in Baltimore does a drive-by, what am I supposed to do? Get online and start crying about my community? Take a flight to Baltimore and march? You already said marching and protesting was goofy and that was woke, and y'all don't want to see any more BLM or George Floyd. So what accountability is he talking about? Podcast? Like, what level of accountability is going to appease him? And no one owes this dude an explanation. This dude is a freaking white Arab where his family fled. And Sincere says, a criminal that did get caught but was turned loose to become an informant. Yes, that's a criminal, but since they're not in the system, they're not labeled a criminal. How many people do you think that happens to? How many people do you think their record gets expunged, which means they are a criminal, but poof, on paper, no, they're not.
I'm bringing you, no, it wouldn't be a red herring. I'm giving you the lies so you can understand what I'm trying to say. the number
That's
that number as well, you do realize, because I want you to see if
He
you
doesn't
understand
even know what
per
red
capita and how it
herring
operates. So
means.
that's actually crimes committed.
I understand how per capita.
Okay, so okay, I'm just making sure. So when you say 13% of the population commit 50% of the crimes, that's not actually true. What you're talking about is people who get arrested. So I'll give you an example. If there are 10 black people in a room and one of them has a warrant, well, guess what? That cop may not know which one is who. So if he knows that this person is in this room, well, guess what? A few of those people might get arrested for that same exact thing. But until they find out and ID everybody, that doesn't mean that 10 people got arrested for a warrant. That means one person is is the one who they're looking for, but 10 people might get arrested. But when they ask you for your ID, when they ask you for your information, they're going to find out what your race is. So they're, cops have to do a report when they arrest people, correct? So if someone unalive somebody, if someone steals something from a store, who you with, they're going to arrest everybody. So that doesn't mean that 30 black people got convicted of stealing from the store. That means 30 black people who happen to be in this area got arrested for possibly one person that stole from the store. So you understand how the numbers could be manipulated. Now let's add something more onto that as well. So because we're going to walk this all the way down. So not only is it arrest, but it also doesn't take into account people who identify
Recidivism. Recidivism.
Yeah, it also doesn't take into account people who identify as biracial in the country. Now, what do you think the majority of people who are biracial, what do you think they identify as in the country?
Gray. Black and white. Gray. Right? Biracial, black and white, gray. What's wrong?
I feel like you trolling, bro. What do they identify as?
I ain't gonna lie, bro's face was golden. He asked them, what do you think most biracial people identify as? And once again, we're talking about the U.S. Census, and then in a broader point, we're talking about culture and ethnicity. What ethnic group is gray? There's a white ethnic group, right? And in race, and a black ethnic group. And, black is really a ethnonym for FBA, but other people try to, go under the banner of black. So, it's a mixture of an ethnic group and race, but we understand that. What is the gray ethnicity? So this dude is just playing. This dude is supposed to be a high IQ person to come in and wag his fingers at black people about how we need to take accountability for YNs that is playing with switches. And this dude has made himself look like a complete and utter imbecile this whole night. This is a pathetic showing for the alleged high IQs.
Well, you said biracial.
No.
You're saying biracial, so more than one ethnicity.
What do they identify as on paper, my guy? You can't identify.
Oh my goodness. He said biracial, so more than one ethnicity. He didn't say bi-ethnic, he said biracial. So that means multiple races. And obviously, if you're multiple races, there's going to be multiple ethnicities. But he was focused on race, and he jumps from race to ethnicity to nationality. This dude is all over the place. If you want to see what an imbecile looks like, I present to you Exhibit A for Adam.
Remember, you asked me before how I identify on paper, and I couldn't tell you because on my license right now, it says race. There's nothing there. I have never had to fill out
Yeah, I can't take these lies where he's just like, okay, all right, let's just say that is true, that his driver's license doesn't have any race, right? And like Sincere says, maybe he's talking about aliens. Maybe he thinks he's an alien. Maybe his driver's license has an A. I thought the A would be for Ada, but no, it's for alien. Because this dude is 50 plus years, bro. You're almost a senior citizen. And he's asking this dude, like, I don't know what my driver's license said. It might say black. I might be black. No, you're not a black. So just stop playing. Yeah, they called you sand nigga before, but you're not black. He knows that he's Caucasian. It's only the only choices that he can make is that he's Caucasian, i.e., white, or he's one of these Middle Eastern Asian people. He doesn't seem to claim Asian. He thinks that he's either black or white. I guess that's why he said gray. Dude, you're not gray. And you definitely ain't black. I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with bright. Let's commence.
Not
You
just
would have
saying the
had
census.
to.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know anything, so I don't even care to ask you questions anymore. Look, they identify as black 9 times out of 10. So when a biracial person, even though they're equally white and they're equally as black, on paper, on the census, they're gonna go under the construct of black because you know what the one drop rule is. Well, you probably don't even know what that is. The one drop rule in America.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what the one drop.
Right.
Rule is.
So if you have one drop of
women.
that black blood, they're not going to identify you as black. Even though you may have 50% white and 50% black, more than likely you're going to identify as black on paper. So what that means is their crimes go under the black crimes, quote unquote, black crime statistics as well. Not only that, and this is what I was bringing up, is why you probably brought up the African and Caribbean thing. You do realize, like, when Africans and Caribbeans come over to America, they identify as black on paper as well. So when they're
what evidence do you have of that? What evidence do you have of that?
What evidence do I? Because you can't.
This is crazy. So the dude just made a very obvious point that he said when blacks, the Africans, Caribbeans, when they come over here, they identify as black. Yeah, duh. And he's saying, what evidence do you have of that? What else do you think they're identifying? Now, there have been instances where some Africans, I mean, there's been all sorts of people that have identified as white to pad the numbers. People know they're not white. White people know they're not white, but they don't mind having them classified as white to pad the numbers, to say, hey, this is a majority white Christian nation. That's why we have to cater and give special privileges and preferential treatment towards the whites, but he knows this is true. And this is why people are delineating and saying, you know what, African American is a disempowering, disenfranchised term, and it's a term that leads to cultural and ethnic erasure, and it's a bit of a misnomer. So for instance, at Harvard, there was a report that came out, and there was even a conservative dude where he said Harvard, and they're doing it now in media, they're intentionally will hire African and Caribbeans because they know that they're not from the lineage. They know that typically, they're maybe more grateful and subservient. They can always pull that immigrant card on them, like, hey, you're from Haiti. Your country was a shithole. You should be happy to be here. And that's where the whole story of, we're a nation of immigrants, and I came over here with $1.75 in my pocket and all this shit, and you're supposed to celebrate that. But I'm in California. If I say, you know what, I'm an American, I'm gonna move to New York with $1.75 in my pocket and just try to, see how I'm gonna make it. People be like, what? That's dumb as hell. Why would you do that? But suddenly when it's an immigrant story, like, people applaud that. That's a dumb move for you to go to a different country with different culture and customs with $1.75 in your pocket. The reason why it wasn't a dumb move is because we fought for social equality and civil rights that everyone except for American freedmen benefit from. So all of these other communities, even the black people from the Africa and the Caribbean, they came after my people, my lineage, my ancestors, fought, bled, died here. They fought. They didn't flee. They said, look, they hate us. They're lynching us. They're seeing us as less than human. Nah, we gonna make them live up to that promise. And now this is the land of milk and honey, and everybody wants to come here. But then they want to come here and say, oh, you guys have it so much better because back in my homeland, yeah, we have it so much better because we made it better. You didn't fight in your homeland. You fled your homeland. We're not the same. You're not like us. You know what I mean? And that's okay. We don't all need to be the same, but we do need to acknowledge our differences, right? Blueberry pie is pie. Apple pie is pie. Cherry pie is pie. They're not the same pie. All delicious pies, not the same. Nigerian, black. Senegalese, black. Congolese, black. Not all the same, right? This is what y'all are saying. On the continent of Africa, there's over 3,000 different tribes, 54 countries, and over 2,000 different dialects. Does that sound unified? Does that sound like Pan-Africanist? So you're divided on the continent, and then you want to come over here and talk to us about division? The Middle Eastern, are Arabs in Egypt, are they all buddy with Lebanese? Is Lebanon all buddy with Saudi Arabia? They're all Arabs, right? They're all Muslims. They're all Middle Eastern, right? Where's the unity amongst them? But then when it comes to us, people want to talk about, oh, well, you guys are so divided. Yeah, the reason why a lot of us are divided is because when you drop in a bunch of tethers, trying to undermine us, and people who are not tethers, but just, they are focused on their lineage and ethnic preservation, that doesn't always align with what we're trying to do as foundational Black Americans. See, people want us always looking to Africa so that they can have their eye on the prize here, right? But many people in Africa, so name the African version of Martin Luther King. And back in the day and in modern day. Now, there were some great African leaders and prominent people, but many of them were taken out by the Western powers, and a lot of their people didn't uphold the legacy that they laid forth. So that's why they got to come here to what FBA built to get it popping over here. Name the Arab version of Malcolm X, right? He went over there to the Saudi, and he showed a lot of love to the Muslim community, and I know they show love back in terms of saying some nice things about them, and some places have a statue, but has that turned into anything tangible for the Black community? Name the Mexican version of Martin Luther King. Name the Chinese version of Fred Hampton. See, all of these other groups will talk about what culture we don't have. And then when it's time to get some tangibles, they say, oh, well, Martin Luther King said this, and Malcolm X said this, and Medgar Evers said this. It's like, okay, who are your Chinese leaders? What did they say? Who are your Mexican leaders? What did they say? Who is the leader of the people of color? Suddenly it's always Black people. And those Black people always just happen to be FBA. Just saying.
You have to identify what can you identify as if you're an African you come to America?
How do you know that they identify?
Let's prove it right now. Let's prove it right now. Let's prove it right now. For crimes going through the Black crimes, quote unquote, Black crime statistics as well. Not only that, and this is what I was bringing up, is why you probably brought up the African and Caribbean thing. You do realize, like, when Africans and Caribbeans come over to America, they identify as Black on paper as well. So when they're
in, what evidence do you have of that? What evidence do you have of that?
What evidence do I? Because you have to identify. What can you identify as if you're an African you come to America?
How do you know that they identify?
Let's prove it right now. Let's prove it right now. Let's prove it right now. For all the Africans and the Caribbeans in here, no disrespect to y'all, what do you guys identify as on paper when you come to America?
I don't want to hear from your crowd.
Bro. Oh, so now let's think. Oh, so now you don't want to hear from the actual Africans and Caribbeans.
Now he says, "Oh, I don't want to hear from your crowd." But like, dude, you have 50,000 plus followers of a bunch of bootlicking MAGA morons. So why the hell would we want to hear from your crowd when we talking about Black issues, dude? You're not even Black. You feel me? Like, come on now. You're a buck broken white bozo.
You are getting intellectually demolished. I'm spanking that ass. I am spanking that ass. You don't want to hear it because it's the truth. So the truth is they identify as Black. So it's no diss to Africans. There's no diss to Caribbeans. But when they come over here and commit crimes, some of them do, what happens is that goes under the crime statistics as well. So and they call it black crime as a whole. They're not going to say the Nigerian did it. They're not going to say the Jamaican did it. They're going to say the Black American did it. And you personally, you even said it when you were speaking. You said the Black American community. You didn't say the Haitian community. You didn't say the Ethiopian community. They identify as black on paper. Not only that, not only that, hold on, you got to be quiet. You got to stop talking. I don't want to be muting you, but you got to stop talking because I'm debunking this point. And I almost guarantee that you're not going to have a logical argument to respond to me. And for you to have 50,000 followers is the same to me because you're not a good debater whatsoever. But I'll add more to this. So not only that, even some Latinos, some people who sometimes may be Dominican, some people who sometimes may.
What is this dude laughing at like a little bit of, is it, I don't know what he's drinking, man. Wine coolers, the Pabst. What are you laughing at, dude? You are getting intellectually annihilated. This is an obliteration. This is a pathetic and a very vapid and abysmal showing for the alleged high IQs. Yeah, you might want to sit this one out, my guy. And for the 50,000 people that sub to this dude, yeah, might want to get your head checked.
Maybe Puerto Rican, they also identify as black on paper. Not all of them, but a good amount of them identify as black on paper as well. So they also go under those statistics as well. So when you have places like New York, we have places like DC, we have places like Florida who have a high immigrant population. Well, they're in these cities and they commit crimes too. So those go under those. You have to let me finish and stop talking. You have to calm down. So those are going to go under those numbers as well. So when you bring up this 1350 argument, you're not bringing it up with full context, because I'm sure you would agree that if I was to reverse the roles, because even in the white community, the white crime is higher than it actually is, right?
What evidence do you have of that?
Because people like you, who all of a sudden don't know who you identify as, you identify on paper as a Caucasian. When a lot of Arabs come over here, when they come to America, they identify as Caucasian on paper. When a lot of Puerto Ricans come over here, they identify as Caucasian on paper. 50% of Puerto Ricans identify as Caucasian when they come to America. Even though America owns Puerto Rico, its territory, they still identify as white on paper. So other people who come over here, see, even some Latinos do. Mexicans also do that as well. A lot of Mexicans identify and they can click two or more.
Why?
They click two or more boxes. They will click white and they will click Hispanic or Latino. So those are two different races they're identifying as. So even in the white community, the white crime rate is actually higher than when it actually is. And again, that also goes under arrest as well. So when you say these things, you have to add context to it. You don't want to add context to it, but let's add context to this. You come from the Middle East. Your people stone people to death. Your people cut off the clitorises of women when they have sex. Your community does all of these things. You behead people. You guillotine people. You come from that. So my question.
So when he's telling them this, he's not taking accountability. Instead, he's laughing. He's doing a raise the roof, which, yeah, shout out to the raise the roof, because I do like that, but like definitely showing your age, bruh. So this almost senior citizen, and nothing against senior citizen, age is a privilege denied to most, so the moment that you are born, you're getting older, right? So this is not an ageist type of tirade, but this dude is too darn old to be acting like this. He's talking about the black community needs to have accountability for the YN culture and people carrying pipes and switches. And when he points to that your community and culture is stoning people, chopping off breast, mutilating private parts, subjugating women, obviously being extremely anti-black. What accountability is he willing to take for any of this stuff? Instead, he's smiling, laughing, and raising the roof. I mean, when there's a drive-by in Chicago, I don't see a lot of people smiling, laughing, and raising the roof. I hear people saying, man, we got to do better and all this type of stuff. When he's presented with facts of his culture, literally chopping off, areolas, suddenly he thinks this is the time to be laughing and giggling, ha-ha, and kikiing. This dude is Man, I'll just let it play. I don't have too much more words for this dude.
Is for you to be an immigrant, stop talking, for you to be an immigrant who came over to spend in the white community, the white crime rate is actually higher than what it actually is. And again, that also goes under arrest as well. So when you say these things, you have to add context to it. You don't want to add context to it, but let's add context to this. You come from the Middle East. Your people stone people to death. Your people cut off the clitorises of women when they have sex. Your community does all of these things. You behead people, you guillotine people. You come from that. So my question is, for you to be an immigrant, stop talking, for you to be an immigrant who came over to America and you found this new patriot, I'm so patriotic, and I'm patriotic. This is my country. My family been here since the 1700s. I'll trace my lineage back to 1723. You can't. You are a direct descendant of people from the Middle East. So my question is, instead of you being so worried about the Black American community who paved the way for you to bring your nasty ass over here, my question is, why do you? Yeah, they did. They actually did, because if it wasn't for us, you'd be back at home. You'd be back at home.
What are you
You'd
building?
if it wasn't for us, right? You'd be back at home. You'd be back at home, and you'd be having sex with a mummy. But unfortunately, well, I ain't gonna say unfortunately. Fortunately for you, we were able to give you an opportunity to come over here. But my question is, why don't you Middle Easterners talk about all of the things that you do in your degenerate home?
And Sincere, you're absolutely right. He turned into a goofball when hit with knowledge. And another thing, see, this is what people like to do. This is what they hate. This is why they want us to stick to the term African American, because for one, I said it's disempowering, it's disenfranchising, it leads to ethnic erasure, cultural and ethnic erasure, and it allows for almost anyone to tether onto it. So when he's asking them about the people in his homeland, because see, this America is our homeland. Africa is not our homeland. For some people, Africa is their homeland. For me, America is my homeland. And what's sometimes people confuse that and say, oh, well, are you saying that you're a pretendian or $5 Indian and blah, blah, blah? No, not even that. Although many of us do have indigenous ancestry, but what makes a foundational Black American freedman is the specific and deliberate ethnogenesis that is the amalgamation of enslaved Africans and, people from, this soil that were classified as indigenous, but because they were darker, they were labeled as Negro, and then also European ancestry from the colonial settlers, pervs, pedos, and grapists, right? That is what our ethnogenesis produced on this soil. So it is a very unique, it is a very peculiar and particular ethnicity and lineage, right? And everyone knows that. And for us, we have just been giving it up freely because we're loving people, but us giving it up freely and inviting everyone to the cookout and allowing everyone, oh, they're niggas just like us, allowing all of that has led to our ethnic erasure and a cultural misrepresentation. And we can no longer stand for that. So when I'm saying that is because now when people are criticizing you, they'll say, well, what did you build in Africa? First of all, Africa is not my homeland. So you should be taking that up with an African. However, there have been many successful and astonishing African civilizations, i.e. Kemet, i.e. the pyramids, which they don't even, they are trying to give that to Arabs and say that they were actually darker Egyptians. So it's been FBAs fighting harder for African history than Africans, right? What name the prominent leader in Africa that's from Africa that's in Africa. Right now there's Ibrahim Traore, and he's the only one in Burkina Faso. But name the other Africans in Africa standing up for Africa. You get a bunch of Africans going to the UK and coming here and flying a Nigerian flag, but have no plans to go back to Nigeria. And when they do go back, they go to just be the exceptional Negro. They make their money out here, send a bunch of money back in remittances, and then they go and live like the king of Zamunda. But you're not changing the conditions of Nigeria. It's still being colonized by the French and the Western powers and Chinese. And they're making businesses where they won't even allow you to go on there. In Jamaica, they're not even allowing the indigenous, native-born, blackity-black Jamaicans. They can't even access the majority of their beaches. But then they come to America and want to have a Caribbean Day parade and fly a Jamaican flag and don't give a crap about what's going on in Jamaica. That's not a flex. Hey, look, I'm a beautiful Jamaican chick with a nice body and a fat butt, and I'm taking some cute Instagram pics, and I could twerk, and it's mesmerizing and enchanting. But you don't want to go back to Jamaica. You don't want to build anything in Jamaica. You don't want to even bring a voice to the injustices that's happening in Jamaica. But you're saying that culture is superior? That's something that people should be proud of. That's something that people should be Haiti, stand up. All right, cool. Let's go to Haiti. Oh, no. I didn't say that. I don't want to go to Haiti. This is what Kodak Black said. He said, I don't want to go to Haiti. They eat people over there. This is what the Haitian Kodak Black said. But if I say that or I call someone a tether, how could you say that? You've been listening to too much Tariq Nasheed. That's being divisive. Like, are you kidding me? No. Have you been to some of these places? They're already too divided, right? So if we're already going to be divided, let's just be divided constructively. Let's be divided productively. Right? Let's disaggregate the data. If you say that, hey, Nigerians or people from Singapore or Taiwan, if they're doing better, then let's just disaggregate the data and see exactly how much better they're doing or how much worse they're doing. And suddenly when you start talking like that, then people just want to be like, no, we're all black. But, I think I covered enough of it. This dude is just getting on my nerves, and he's not even worth continued cover. He's a low IQ loser. But, I just want to tap in and give a little bit of an impromptu stream. I do appreciate everybody that slid through in the chat. No one came up, but y'all rocked out in the chat. So the lovely Sincere, Big Rig, John, Braxton, Rush, and whoever else came through that was just lurking in the clouds. If I did miss somebody on a shout out, it was not intentional. But yeah, if you don't catch the live stream, catch me on the playback. It's late, and I got some things to do. I'm probably going to be cooking up the live tomorrow too at another impromptu time, but I will be more concise and precise with my streams. I'm also going to be doing some pre-recorded content, but definitely check out Sincere Saida. She's always, got some nice little tea cooking up over there. John Sinatra, and a talented brother. Big Rig Slaps. He's going to be going live. Rush, Braxton, salute to y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to shut her down. This has been yet another media review with that dude, discussions with that dude. This is B-Eazy. You know who it is, what this is. Salute.
Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy, that dude, shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I ride up on them with the 40 ounces. It's a definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is it's sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow pads. So shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out to Milwaukee. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.